gentlemen, this is going to be the last mini show before we get Rich Telford and Junior Brown on for tonight. Talk about excessivegear.com. You guys go check that website out. All the proceeds from the sales on that merchandise goes towards the sponsoring one of the best teams in paintball right now, which is Excessive. So one of my personal favorite teams also. So I mean, there's not really too many pro teams that I don't like. So I like them all, But anyway, let's do a quick show on, I'm going to call this show Getting Older. So the first thing I want to talk about is I remember when I was 13 years old, I thought I ruled the world too. And so I'm not going to try to take away that from the teenagers who obviously think they run paintball. But, like I said, when I was 14, 15 years old, I think I thought I ruled the world also. But, as you get older, you realize that that's just not true. But anyway, let's talk about getting older and playing paintball when you're older and stuff like that. As you guys saw in the paintball video that I put up from, paintball in 1987. Obviously, when paintball first came out, most of the people that played paintball were probably 25 years old and older. A large part of legitimizing paintball as a sport was getting younger players into it, okay? Just like they do in baseball. Okay, people professionals play baseball until like 45 years old. I mean, how old was like Charlie Huff when he retired? I mean, he must have been like in his 50s, the old knuckleball pitcher. But a big part of trying to legitimize paintball as a sport was getting younger and younger players involved. Now, unfortunately, there's been something that's kind of happened in the past, few years is as the younger players came on, they started making the older players feel more and more self-conscious about playing out there, okay? And the older players worked so hard to make sure that there wasn't any laws about 18 and older. You couldn't rightfully own a paintball gun unless you were 18 or over or anything like that. And we worked so hard to open up the doors to get the younger players involved. And then now it's like the minute they get here, they want to kick us out. So, paintball is not a sport for 16-year-olds exclusively, okay? There's no rule that says once you get your driver's license, you're too old to play paintball. That's total bullshit. And just because you're 16 and play paintball doesn't mean that you rule the world, okay? Most players, you're going to realize once you start hitting your late 20s, early 30s, that's when you feel invincible. I mean, I feel faster now than I did when I was 16 years old. I feel stronger now than I did when I was 16 years old. I feel more in shape now than I did when I was 16 years old. And, and right now I'm 32 years old and I feel great. So there's nothing that says that just because you turn 15 years old that you're too old for paintball. That's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, for me, paintball didn't get fun until I was in my early 20s. Why? You've got money in the bank. You can buy the stuff, okay? You guys right now that are 14, 15 years old obsessing over all these expensive markers and stuff like that you can't buy. I mean, let's see what we got here. We got a nice little Victory and a DM10 and I got a whole garage full of guns now and stuff like that. I mean, when you're 16 years old, you obsess over this. Now that I'm, 32, if I want to buy a DM10, that's no sweat. I mean, that's no sweat at all. I just buy it. So, if I want a Prophecy LTD, I just buy it. If I want a tank or 5 tanks or 20 tanks, I just go buy it. So that's the thing that you got to understand is when you get older, obsessing over paintball equipment, you just, if you want it, you just go pick it up off the shelf and you just buy it. So that's the, that's the thing is as you get older, you can buy whatever you want, which is beautiful. But paintball, when you're younger, just because you're 16 years old and young, 16 years old doesn't mean you rule the sport. Absolutely not. There's a reason why NFL players are in their late 20s. There's a reason why most, basketball players are in their mid to late 20s. There's a reason why most professional athletes are in their mid to late 20s, because that's when, as a human being, you really start to hit your stride. With that being said, that paintball is not a sport just for 15-year-olds. Sorry, it's not. With that being said, as you get older, obviously there are things that you have to pay more attention to that you don't really have to care too much about when you're younger. But if you really plan on playing this sport for a really long time, the first thing that you should take care of is your ankles and your knees. That is one of the most important parts of paintball in terms of your long-term fitness or your long-term health as a paintball player. You have to take care of your ankles and your knees. You start tweaking your ankles, you're out there playing Snake without knee pads, you're gonna damage your knees, and once your knees go, that's it for the rest of your body. So you've got to take good care of your knees. Even you younger players that weigh 110 pounds, that you don't think you're hurting your knees when you go in there doing your double knee slides into the snake. You've got to wear good knee protection. And when I started, I was wearing like volleyball knee pads and catcher knee pads and stuff like that. Now you've got 100 different types of knee protection. You can just take your pick, which is beautiful. But if you really truly want to play paintball for the long haul, whether you're playing woods or airball, in airball, if you kneel down on a stake, you're going to be in serious pain. If you're out there in the woods and you knee down on a root, you're going to be in serious pain. So you've got to take good care of your knees. But as you get older, one of the biggest things you've got to really pay attention to is your weight. You got to make sure that you're keeping your weight in check. And I'm not anybody to talk. A lot of people that don't realize that, I had a really bad job, for a couple of years where I was working like 100 hours a week, and my weight went from like 205 to like 320, 330. And one day I stood on a scale and practically broke it. I said, holy shit, what the hell did I do to myself? And I dropped all that weight over the course of like the next year or so. And I remember trying to play paintball when I was over 300 pounds. It was a nightmare. So, and a lot of people don't believe me that I used to be that big. I'll find pictures and I'll send them to you, or I'll put them up in the forums. But, I got out of college at like 200 pounds, and then I got this job where I was working nonstop, and I was eating all this dog shit food and not paying attention to what I was eating. And all of a sudden I went over 300 pounds. But, luckily, I started eating right again, and I lost it really fast, and now I feel a lot better. But you got to keep your weight under control. You got to take care of your knees. And the thing too is that you don't have to play it nonstop every single weekend. Life will get in the way sometimes, and sometimes you just got to take a little bit of time off, handle your business, then go back up and hit it up again. But paintball by no means is a sport for 14-year-olds. Just because you have your driver's license doesn't mean you're too old for it. That's actually the beauty of paintball, is that a 60-year-old can play against a 16-year-old, and it's not that big of a deal. And for the teenagers or the younger players that try to make the older players feel self-conscious, just get the fuck out of our sport, because that's one of the beautiful parts of paintball, is the fact that a grandfather could play against his granddaughter, the fact that a dad can play on the same team with his son. Where the hell else can you do that? Well, paintball you can, but you can't do that really anywhere else. So, when you're younger, take good care of your knees, take good care of your ankles. They're the only two you have for the rest of your life. As you get older, try to keep your weight under control. Everybody obsesses over, how much do markers weigh and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, the Eagle 9 is 4 ounces, as they're stuffing their mouth with a cheeseburger. The Eagle 9 is 1 ounce heavier than the Eagle 8. Those losers are going to have such a disadvantage while they're stuffing their mouth with 18 cheeseburgers. I mean, you drop 15 pounds, you're basically, your gun is now negative, because, your gun weighs 8 pounds, but now you just dropped 15. So you're actually negative in terms of weight. So if you lose the weight, you feel great. What's some of the best ways to lose weight? What did I do? Ate, nice little vegetable omelets for lunch, or for breakfast, I mean. Lunch, I usually had, salads with no cheese, just lots of meat, fat-free dressing. Drank lots of water. For dinner, I had, grilled fish, grilled chicken with like steamed vegetables and stuff like that. And just drank a lot of water, tried to do as much exercise as I could, and just because you go out and exercise for an hour doesn't mean that you can go eat a Snickers bar. Believe me, that's not the case at all. I mean, it takes a lot longer to burn it off than it does to eat it. You can eat 2 slices of pizza in a minute and a half, but it's going to take you 2 hours to burn it off. So, definitely watch what you eat. Try to cut calories anywhere that you possibly can, and you'll realize that a cheeseburger doesn't it still tastes pretty good without the cheese on it. You'll realize that you do away with the sodas and start drinking diet soda or something like that. That's not that big of a deal, but you got to cut calories out everywhere you go. So that's about it for my show on getting older, and playing paintball as you get older. I mean, I plan on playing paintball till 67 years old. Maybe if I'm in a walker, I'll still be playing paintball. I don't give a shit. So that's about it. I might do one more show, and then I'll be giving Junior Brown and Rich Telford a call. I'll be right back.